What's up, people? Hope everyone's good. Recording a video out here in rainy England. It's fun. I'm standing in the rain because I have to wait for a parcel delivery. And these guys were total nutcases yesterday. They didn't do a very good job until I get under this bus shelter though, so I don't get totally rained on. Anyway, a friend of mine said that his friend is having some troubles with his health, kind of went on fruit diet or high fruit diet and saw a 30-40% reduction of symptoms almost immediately, and was kind of asking for some advice on what fruits to pick or kind of just how to get started really. And so I thought it'd probably be helpful to record a little video for kind of everyone out there of the 3 top foods I would suggest mastering if you were planning on using a high fruit diet for your health, right? So I have to keep an eye out because if my parcel comes, I'm going to run after him. Don't want to miss it this time. So yeah, the video might go off, but top 3 foods that I would master, right? Not all of them are fruit. So this is if you're going on a high fruit diet, if you're going on a mostly raw, maybe even completely raw diet. So depending on the circumstance, there's certain things that I would recommend and I wouldn't recommend. There's certain ways that I recommend doing it and not recommend doing it. But the 3 main things if you're going on high fruit to master, the first one is watermelon. So you want to master, when I talk about mastering, I'm talking about mastering these fruits. What I mean is you want to be able to pick them effectively, understand how they act on your body, know when to use them, why to use them, how to use them, why they're effective, how to pick the best quality ones, where to find the best quality ones, and effectively have them in your toolkit at any point in time for you to be able to just totally go out and utilize that toolkit, utilize them if you really need to, right? So watermelon, why is watermelon good? Watermelon is good because watermelon has 92% water in it, right? So it's got high hydration. And this is really important. In fact, you'll notice, if you're going through everything, you'll notice that pretty much everything in this 3-item list is about hydration. And hydration is so important because most of the issues that we face chronically are to do with dehydration. If we were hydrated, we'd be able to fix the issue. And it's certainly been my experience. In fact, the more hydrated you can make your body, the easier of a time you generally have with chronic pain, health conditions, stuff that's kind of not working, etc. This is from my experience, but also tends to be the experience of everyone that I've seen kind of going on these raw food diets and stuff as well. So watermelon, really, 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 really important. 92% hydrating. 92% water. So watermelon is kind of a tricky one to master because watermelon is only really in season during the summer times, depending on where you are. I mean, if you're in a northern climate like me, it's a little bit trickier, right? But also the southern hemisphere season can come in. But what I have found is if you figure out how to pick a good watermelon, then those tips stand throughout the entire year. When they're out of season, they're a bit of a pain in the ass to try and pick. But when they're in season, they're always good. If they're out of season and you hit all the right stuff, it's still pretty good. They're still usable. And really you're not using them for anything other than hydration. You want to have them in your toolkit so that if you get dehydrated, if the process dehydrates you, you have that like toolkit ready to just go. Bam, get yourself hydrating. The thing about watermelon though is it is astringent as well. What does astringency mean? Astringency means that it pulls at the tissues and pulls at the muscle fibers and pulls at your lymph system to get everything that shouldn't be out there out of your body. Now you might think that's a good thing, and it is a good thing, It's generally what fruits tend to do, especially fruits like lemons. Lemons go crazy with it, right? But the issue we have is if you pull too many acids out of your cells, like way down in there in the deep tissue, in the actual insides of the cells. And this is a mistake that I've made, right? Because I never had any guidance and I didn't have any support the first couple of years I was doing it, at least. I mean, it's been a hell journey for me, but I was basically almost dead when I started, so I'm a lot not dead now, so I've kind of made best choices I possibly could. But I wish I had this guidance to start off with, because what would happen for me is I would eat the fruits, I wouldn't stay hydrated enough because the fruits wouldn't have high enough water content, they wouldn't be hydrating enough, and I'd be going way too fast with it, and it would pull the acids out of the cells, but then they'd go a little bit further down the lymph system, down to different muscle tissue, and they'd all get stuck and everything will get blocked up. And then it just starts burning at your tissues. See, if it's locked in there, if it's stuck in there, you're all right. If it's built into like a little, I mean, like I've got a fucking like cyst here. If it's in little places like that, it's locked down, the body's kind of handled it. The problem is that causes issues with elimination, that causes chronic issues. You don't really want lumps and cysts all around your body, everyone kind of knows that, right? But if it's locked down in there, it's not really hurting that bad. It's not causing issues. It's when it starts to kind of come out, you feel it, and it's more active, and it's more going to cause you some problems. So the problem with astringency is that if things are too astringent, right? Too astringent all at once, it pulls it out and it just dries out another area, and then it all kind of builds itself up there, and you get a load of pain and a load of symptomology, and it's not helpful. You actually need the hydration to calm it all back down. So you want high hydration and astringency that supports your body's eliminative capacity without going too quickly on it. That's why watermelon's good. So, tips on picking watermelon, I'll probably record a different video, it's a bit tricky, but one of the things I would say is you want the watermelon to be perfectly kind of uniform in shape. You want it to be big and kind of almost like a bursting kind of ball, super, super round, super full. You want the bars, like the little rind, the rind has like stripes. The stripes need to seem like they've been stretched out, like they're perfectly spaced, as if it's all kind of grown well. And then it needs a yellow sunspot as well. And then there's different varieties of watermelon. So, you know, some are going to be light skinned, some are going to be dark skinned, and some are going to have thicker rinds than others. And then there's also the knock test, but I can't really, that's something that you learn as you get used to it. It can't be too high pitched, it can't be too low pitched. It needs to be kind of in the middle, maybe a little bit deeper on the deeper side of the pitch. And it needs to sound hollow. It needs to sound like there's some, when you knock it, it needs to sound like hollow, like there's a ring, like not just dull, like a tap. It's something you learn. I'll try and record a video on that one, I guess. I have some good examples. So that's watermelon. What's the second one that I would recommend? Cucumbers. Cucumbers are 96% water. And cucumbers have no astringency. Cucumbers are slightly acidic, and cucumbers are a fruit as well. And I do understand cucumbers, you know, they're not the tastiest thing in the world. My girlfriend, she's like, oh, I don't like the taste of cucumbers. I get it. But it's 96% water. There's very little else on this planet that has that high water content. And you can't just drink water either. Drinking water doesn't work. Drinking water too much, I mean, I'm not recommending don't drink water. Definitely drink some water, yeah? Don't go crazy with it though. It's like you see these marathon runners who drink too much water and they lose all their electrolytes and they're having trouble, and some of them pass out and stuff like that. You don't want to do that. You want stuff that nourishes your electrolytes and hydrates you at the same time, which is why cucumber is so critical, because cucumber doesn't have any astringency, so it won't pull and dry out your tissues too much. It'll just hydrate you back up without causing those issues, and then it's got the electrolytes in there as well. So you're hitting multiple different layers of what you need. Cucumber's great if you just need to hydrate. And if you sit down, if you can pick a good cucumber, you can pick a really good cucumber. There's something I do have a video on. You pick a really good cucumber, you can get a nice salty taste. If you make it into noodles, it tastes kind of just like plain spaghetti. Maybe like salted spaghetti. It's nice. You just have to kind of get used to it. I know it's a bit rough, but we're talking almost medicinal uses of fruits here, so you kind of have to do what you have to do, right? So cucumber, really important. In fact, sometimes if I'm in a lot of pain, yeah, because I got lumps and cysts and stuff that are still kind of clearing out for me out here. I'm on year 4 or 5, but I was really, really sick. Now I'm out kind of free running and training again, which is great. I'm working, I'm feeling really good. My neck cramp for 4 years just totally cleared itself. Everything's all calming down. My muscle tissues and fibers and all stuff, like they're all kind of breaking this. I mean, I used to not be able to turn my head for very long at all, even a couple years into the diet. Now it's sweet, I don't have to worry about it. But if I'm ever in a lot of pain, I can sit down and have like 3 or 4 cucumbers just as noodles. And then that night I'll sleep great. That night I won't have any problem sleeping. I won't have any pain and everything will calm down. That's sweet. So second one, cucumbers. Third one is the big plain lettuce salad. It's another one that doesn't seem super tasty, right? Because what we're actually looking at is we're looking at supporting the body when it's gone far, far, far beyond where it should naturally have gone. If you subscribe to the natural species specific diet that we are frugivores, and that's something that I certainly do believe, really eating tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of greens is not as in alignment with all of our primate cousins, depending on kind of where you're going. But we aren't really gorillas, so to speak. We're a little closer genetically to the bonobos, to the other types of that. I mean, this is my understanding of it. But what tends to happen with the greens is if you eat a lot of them, that's 96% water as well, and there's no acidity in there. In fact, they are more alkalizing. They definitely have a net alkalizing effect on the body, hugely so. And it also sweeps your gut. So if you eat like at least like a head of lettuce, like a head of iceberg lettuce or something like that, it'll sweep your gut, and all of the stuff that you've pulled through your lymphatic system into your gut, through the gut wall and the lymphatic system lining the gut wall and everything like that, comes out as like mucosa and little strings into your eliminatory stool and stuff like that. All that gets cleared out by the lettuce. You have enough of it, right? But the thing you have to watch with that is there's very little calories in something like lettuce. So you have to kind of prepare for that. One of the biggest mistakes that people make when they go on these kind of diets is they don't eat enough calories. And then probably the second biggest that kind of is entering my head right now, they don't stay hydrated enough with hydrating enough fruits. And they push it too hard for their body's capability. Mistake I made. Mistake I made. It's a hard one to have the balance on, but you master these fruits, then you're right. These foods. So, all 3 of these things, you'll notice are really high in hydration. One of them's astringent, so it will pull and it will accelerate things a bit, but it's still a lifesaver if you're dehydrated. And 2 of them aren't astringent. 2 of them are just hydrating. Just hydrate yourself, right? And that's what you want. So that's why they're great. That's why they'll support you to kind of get a little bit healthier, a little bit healthier, a little bit healthier. But why aren't they bad? What's the downsides to them? Yeah, great, they sound hydrated. Great, they sound awesome. But could there be anything wrong with them? Well, there's not really nothing wrong with them. But the problem with them is there's not a lot of calories in them. So watermelon, you have to eat a lot of watermelon to get your calories in there. You have to eat a lot of watermelon. I'm not saying you can't eat a lot of watermelon. You have to think, okay, am I getting enough calories? You want to put them into a calorie calculator, or you want to put them into something like that. You want to be keeping an eye on how much calories you get. It's very, very easy to buy a ton of watermelon and eat a ton of watermelon and think you've eaten enough, and you haven't eaten anywhere near enough. cucumbers have even less calories. So if you're going to eat a lot of cucumbers, you have to have made sure that you have had enough calories. That's one of the tricky balances you have when you're going on high food diet. And lettuces, pretty much the same as cucumber, maybe even less. Lettuces are good for the nutrition. They're good for getting your minerals in, especially if you have a lot of it, but it doesn't seem to me that we were super designed to have a lot of it. And you will not have enough calories if you're just stuffing your mouth with lettuces all day. You need to have a balance. So, my recommendation is keep them on hand for hydration. Make sure you're hydrating every day. But on the flip side, make sure you're having some high calorie foods in there every day, or at least keeping an eye on your calories. At least keeping an eye on your calories. Don't go on like watermelon fast or anything crazy like that. Like, not until you really understand what you're doing. If you're going to go on something like a watermelon fast, I mean, almost see it as like a fast. Because it's very easy to undereat the calories. Obviously, I'd recommend having the right kind of support and guidance on that with somebody who's a specialist who has experience. Right? Someone who's qualified at that level. So, there's some tips on how to get started. There's the 3 foods that I would master. If you're looking at getting into this, you're looking at kind of using those kind of tips, let me know if you're interested in kind of doing that stuff in the comments down below. And if you want my guide, because I recorded a guide on how to pick the best cucumbers, because they're one of the ones that don't taste the best unless you get them right. I've recorded a little guide underneath. If you DM me, depends where you're watching this video. If there's comments, comment cucumber down below and I'll send you. And if you're on Instagram or Facebook, drop me a DM. Like either one works. But if there's comments down below, if it's Facebook, YouTube, comment cucumber. And if you're catching this on Instagram, then just DM me the word cucumber and I'll send it over to you. So those are my top 3 foods to kind of master, kind of get hold of, understand how your body kind of works with them, understand kind of how they act for you, make sure you have enough calories, and hopefully this helps. Hopefully this helps because people clearly need the information. I definitely did when I started off. Hydration is a big thing that people miss, and it's so critical. So yeah, hopefully this helps you guys. Peace.